Okay, this is a video of my Harbor Freight trencher and what I've done with it. There are a lot of videos on YouTube showing how they dig, what they can do, so I'm not going to bore you with all of that. If you've watched the videos, you know what this little machine will do. Some of the things I want to touch on are the things that extra that a lot of people have been talking about, like, I'm sure you see it right in front of you. What do you do with the outriggers? Where do you put them when you're in towing position? There have been a lot of videos of people mounting adapters in the axle and outrigger hole underneath, and they seem to work fine, but I'm a simple kind of guy. I like to do things in a simple way. So what I did with mine, I noticed right here was a hole in this floorboard. So I got the bright idea and I added 3 more holes, got some 4-inch long, 3 3/4 inch U-bolts, and put some rubber hoses on them, got some nylon locking nuts, and there you go. When I'm hauling this thing anywhere on the farm or on the highway, lay the outrigger down, put the U-bolts on it, tighten them up with a ratchet, and she's solid. She's going nowhere. And I just stick the upper part of the outriggers on and pin them, and that's how I haul it. Simple, easy, quick. Takes seconds to take the nylon locking nuts loose from underneath when I want to set it up for digging. And there you have it. On the other side is a little bit different in that the cover on this hydraulic unit here meant that there wasn't enough room to put it over and drill 4 holes. So I drilled 2 holes there and there and just let it hang off this side, and with the big washer type pieces that come with the U-bolts, when you put that on and tighten it down, it's tight up against this. There's nowhere it can go, and once again, she's tight. She won't go anywhere. Got the upper unit clamped to it, pinned to it, and there she is, ready to be towed. Another thing I did while we're talking about pins is I saw all the videos about the radius on the pins that come with it, egging out the holes on the unit. So what I did is I just threw all of those away. I actually threw them in the barn. And went to Tractor Supply and bought these. They're 3/4 inch pins, 4 inches long. That's as long as you need. 4-inch will work through on everything. And you don't have a lot of extra pin hanging under the machine. So I've got straight 3/4 inch by 4-inch pins hanging, holding everything on. Works great. Have no problems with it, and it's no egging out. And a little side note, I caught a skunk in the barn this morning, and he's finally decided to come out of the trap. Had it set for some big rats, and he decided to go in there, so I had to cover it up and get him out without getting sprayed. And I was very lucky he didn't spray me. Didn't want to kill him. He eats bugs, but he decided he wanted to go in the barn, so there he goes, and now he's going back in the barn. Watch him. There he goes, and back under my barn. So I've got a skunk living under the barn. Might have to dig him out with the trencher. Another thing I did to this trencher was get a second set of axles and tires. Easy to do if you don't want to make them yourself or don't have anyone that can make them for you. Call Harbor Freight Customer Service. Tell them you want a couple of replacement axles and hub assemblies. It's real simple and easy to get. They shipped them to me. I bought the tires at Walmart. And having tires front and rear makes it so much easier to handle. For towing, all I have to do is hitch it up to my truck. You know you can raise this boom up just as it's sitting, and the weight distribution will allow it to sit here and actually pivot on these tires that are in the towing position, which will allow this end to come up very easy. You can take one hand and pick the tongue up. So when I want to tow it, I back my tractor or a tow rig up to it, do that with the bucket so that I can raise this up, slide these 2 off, hitch it up, and tow. When I'm ready to dig, when I want to switch it to digging, I slide these back on while I've got the weight distributed, unhook it from the truck, obviously, slide these back on, then I can push down with the bucket, raising this end up, and slide these tires off and slide the outriggers on both sides without having to go side to side, hooking it and unhooking it from the tow vehicle. It's 2 minutes, if that long, and you've got it. You can switch it from tow to dig, tow to dig. Simple, easy to do. Probably the best thing I did to the machine was adding those 2 extra tires on it. Makes life so much easier. Another thing I did that helped towing, added some tongue length. I've got an 18-inch piece of receiver tube. Slides right on to the existing piece where the original 1 7/8 ball hitch bolts. Bolted it on with grade 8 bolts using the same holes that the trailer hitch bolted to. Then I had to run a well bead here because there was a little play in it. I originally did this to add a tongue jack. But now that I've set it up with the 4 tires, I no longer need the tongue jack because I can pick it up with the weight of the boom. So I really have no reason to put a tongue jack on it. But what it did, by adding some length to the tongue, made it tow better. Tow smoother, no fishtailing. I have a very unique trailer hitch. I went to a 2-inch ball trailer hitch because everything else I have is 2-inch. Made life simpler. Welded it to a ball tongue. Slide it in the receiver hitch. To keep people from stealing it, in addition to the lock on that, I can just slide the whole thing off. Very few people are riding around with a setup like this in their truck to put on here to steal it. I've been doing that for years with other trailers, and it's worked well for me. I've got a camping trailer that I have set up like that. And you can even slide that out and slide a receiver-type donut for a pedal hook and pull it that way. The other thing I did that helped with the towing was when I set these new ones up, took the hub off, the grease hub off, took off the nut, took off the stock washer, and slid on a second washer, then put the stock washer back on and tightened it back up. I don't have it lifted up where you can see it move, but these tires now with the double washers, they roll true. There's no wobble, no run out. They are tight, true, they roll great, pulls like a charm. Let's see, because of the slope in the shed, this tire's off the ground. I don't know if you can see there. I can't reach over and do it with this, but I did the same thing to those, and there's no run out on these tires. I put the 4 washers, 1 in each tire, the extra washers. The washers I put in are bigger around than the stock washer. So I had to put them on first, then put the stock washer on, because since they were bigger, the grease hub would not go on. It would hit them. But if I put it on first, then put the stock washer on, it gave me the thickness to get it tight without being too tight to roll, and allowed the grease hub to go back on. So that's what I've done. What else? The toolbox, got that at Harbor Freight. Nice little box. It's actually advertised as an ammo box. I think it was like $5. Got a little storage compartment. There's a leftover. That's the washers that I put in the hubs to help tighten them down and get some run out of them. Got a couple of extra cotter keys in there. Some of the O-rings that come with the unit, keep them in there. That's in the top portion. Open it up. It has a tray that I keep some tools, more extra washers. These are what's underneath the U-clamps. And then in here, spare pins. These are 3/4 like these, but these are 6.5 inches long. So I use these for the locking pins instead of the stock ones that are angled. Locking pin here on the bucket, and of course a locking pin here. So that's what I use those for, and they stay in this toolbox. I mounted this toolbox using the bolts that mount the hydraulic valve unit to the body. So there you go. Those are the things I have done to my Harbor Freight trencher. Hope that helps out, especially with the outriggers. It's simple, quick, easy, and they stay with the unit when you're towing it, anything you need to do to it, they're always right there. The only other thing I probably need to do is come up with a place to store those tires on the rear so that when I am towing it, I don't have to throw them in the back of the truck. That's the truck I pull it with on the highway, Land Cruiser. I have thought about putting an adapter here that I could pull them out and stand them up. Don't know if it'll clear the engine. Haven't even tried it. Right now I just throw them in the truck. Depending on which hitch I use on the back of the truck, I can actually hitch it up that it's raised up high enough they don't touch the ground. Could probably pull it that way, but I've been a little scared to do that. Don't pull it. It doesn't fishtail. Pull straight and true now with the setup on the tires on the rear and this longer tongue. I don't pull it much over 45, not because of the way it pulls, but because of how rough the roads are around here in our county. No suspension on this thing, so every time you hit a bump or a pothole, you're really bouncing it and putting a lot of stress on that boom and those joints and hydraulics, so I try not to pull it fast. If you're going any great distance not knowing how rough the highways may be, it would still be better to put it on a trailer, just for the wear and tear of the machine itself. By having the 4 tires, my goodness, it's easy to roll it up on a trailer now. I have a winch on my trailer so I can just pull it right up on it. Not going to get into the debate with you gentlemen who say that it's cheap China metal, too light, too small, won't dig, not worth the money. That's your opinion. I can't change your mind, and you can't change my mind. I know what this machine will do. I've been using it for months. If you go to buy a backhoe and you expect this to be a $20,000 case tractor-mounted backhoe, it's not. But if you're looking for something to dig stumps, dig in water lines, ditch roads, this is the machine you want. I've dug a little pond for my ducks. I don't know if you can see them. There's a few ducks back there in the corral. I've dug a pond for them. I've been ditching roads. I've been digging stumps. I've dug up 15 or 20 stumps here on the farm. Some really big old fat lightered pine stumps that have been there for years. It's a digging machine. I've been looking for 5 years for a backhoe. Cheapest one I found was over $8,000 and it needed work. That's just what they're going for in my area. If you can find a big backhoe on a tractor for for $5,000 or less, then that's the way to go. But if you can't, then this right here is the way to go. I didn't want to tie up. My limit was about $3,000. That's all I wanted to invest in a backhoe for what I was going to do with it, and I've got it. Delivery was great. Backed my big trailer up to the delivery truck, ran the winch out off of my trailer onto the crate, drug it off the delivery truck onto my trailer, was done in 30 minutes, assembled it right on the trailer using the winch and overhead. Matter of fact, I used the overhead beam of this shed to lift the heavy stuff, and assembled it by myself, and I'm 65 years old. It's a great piece of equipment. For the money invested, you can't go wrong. If you take care of it, it'll do everything you want it to do for a long time. I have no plans to upgrade the speed. I'm not going to change the motor. I'm not going to change the pump. Not going to go to bigger hoses. Those that do, that's fine. That's well and good. I got nothing against it, nothing bad to say about it. It goes fast enough for me. I'm retired. It does what I want it to do. I'm in no hurry. If the way I look at it, if it was built and designed for what's on it. If I go to a bigger motor or a stronger pump and bigger hoses and speed it up, I'm going to break something. I'm rough on equipment, and I know I'm going to break something if I do that. So I'm not going to do it. I'll just dig at its pace and enjoy digging with it. Was going to dig today, but we had 2.5 inches of rain overnight, so I'm not going to be digging mud today. So there you go. That's what I've done to my Harbor Freight trencher.